Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Setting the Scene exercise. As stated in the weekly file, this is not necessarily something that has a step-by-step. If you've taken a look at the Setting the Scene exercise file on D2L, you'll note basically the requirements for this video. This is a sort of a setup to Project One, and it's going over a lot of stuff that hopefully at this point should be review. But I'm going to add a couple things, in particular sound, using the properties tab again, and a few things that hopefully help you sort of think about, and hence the name, Setting the Scene, how you're going to sort of deal with Project One. Now, I want to sort of start with the end, meaning I am going to sort of show you what you're going to end up with after this exercise is done. You'll notice in the files that have been uploaded that you have a Setting the Scene SWF. This is sort of the version of the file that you get to watch, and essentially you get to recreate. I'm going to read over the exercise here in a minute, but I want to sort of show you the end here. So I'm going to quickly go to test scene, or I'll test the whole movie, and we'll take a look at it. Play again. So there's a good deal going on there. Most of it should make sense, but it's going to be, as I said before, sort of a review of what we've done up to this point, and we're going to add a few things. One thing that's not in there, and it's up here in my layers, is another bit of audio. You should have noted that audio is required for Project One, and I'll post some places that you can get audio and talk about audio a little bit here in a second. So without further ado, let's take a look at, and I'm going to bring in your requirements here. It says Setting the Scene exercise. Accurately recreate the SWF included in week 6 called Setting the Scene exercise.swif. Below are the key elements, or the elements that should be in your library. They're split up into the different kinds of symbols. So here we have 3 graphics. The sky, and that's going to darken. We have the sun darkening and rising and setting in an arc, and the hills graphic darkening. Okay, so those are the graphics that we have. Secondly, we have movie clips. We have the bird movie clip, and in this bird movie clip, the wings and the body filled in with a solid color. We have the person, which is right here, and the shifting eyes. And we also have the wind audio, which we heard, and the bird audio, which we did not hear because I left it blank because I want to sort of show you how to insert that audio in. Last but not least, the movie should be set to 800 by 600 pixels at 150 frames. That's 150 frames long. And the movie must zoom into the person and the hills shown in the video. Okay, so how do we get all of this done? Let's take a look first at our organization. I'm going to sort of keep this up here, and I'm going to sort of make it smaller so we can sort of see what's going on. Put it right here. In our library, we have the sky darkening. Okay, so I'm going to double click on these symbols. This is how my sky starts out. It's a big block of color. That should be pretty easy to make. Let's take another look. Sun darkening and rising. All the darkening, etc., is going to happen on the stage, so we just need these as graphics. There's my sun, pretty straightforward. Hills, pretty straightforward. Okay, these should be things that are sort of similar to what you drew on the timeline exercise. Okay, so sky, and all these are just one frame. I have different versions of the ground here for the hills. Sky is just a block, and the sun is just a sun. That's the easy stuff. Next, bird movie clip. Yes, we're going to use that again. Now, I am all for efficiency, so I would highly suggest taking that bird from either your movie clip file or your timeline file. So I'm going to go over to my timeline, and here's my bird that I did. And I want to make sure I grab bird movie clip. I'm going to right-click on this mouse. You should be able to see copy. And you can pop over, and this is just sort of an exercise in copying and pasting. I'm going to right click and I'm going to hit paste. Okay, I get this warning because I already have that in there. You should then have your bird movie clip. It notes inside the setting up the scene exercise, the wings are going to be filled with a solid color. In our previous exercises, our bird was sort of see-through. You'll note that using a paintbrush or something, to draw with, I have basically filled in our bird. You need to do this on each sort of keyframe. Okay, all the keyframes that have a drawn bird in it, we're going to sort of paint in there. So we have a bird that's filled. You'll see I didn't do such a great job there, but you get the idea. Okay, so that's our bird movie clip. Next is our pursing with the shifting eyes. This is going to be practicing making a movie clip. So my person is actually called Dude in the library over here. You'll see that Dude is essentially a movie clip that sort of randomizes his shifting eyes. Okay, so I have a 50 frame, approximately 2-second movie clip. I've drawn this very sort of static, iconic logo-esque guy, and you'll see that I shift his eyes over a period of, say, 3 or 4 different keyframes. His eyes start here, his eyes pop over there, his eyes pop back, his eyes pop there. Okay, all I am doing is sort of shifting his eyes. Okay. Next, we have the wind audio and the bird audio. These are audio files that I've put on D2L. I would download both the MP3s, and I think I gave you .wav files if you're working on a PC. If you're working on a Mac, I tend to hear that one works better than the other, so you're going to import those into your library. We simply go to File, Import to Library, and choose the downloaded audio files. Okay. Next, your other requirements. Movies must be set to 800 by 800 pixels at 150 frames. And the movie must zoom into the person in the hills as shown in the video. Okay, these are sort of our other requirements. Let's take a look at sort of the how-to on each of these sections. I'm going to start with the graphics. Okay, so I'm going to pop over to my scene. As you hopefully learned on the movie clip and the timeline exercise, we need to be very organized. You're going to see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 layers over here, and they are all labeled to sort of mimic or include what they're going to house. Okay, so here I have sky. The sky is the background. It should be the bottom layer. Now, I'm going to talk briefly about how, because this is something that's mentioned quite a bit, how to darken. This should be a review of using the properties. So I have sky as a graphic, and I have it over the entire 150 frames. You're going to see I also have tweens on each of these sky, sun, bird, and hills background, as well as dude. We're going to talk about why here in a second. So here, I'm going to click on my sky. You'll see that over on the very last frame, if I click on this and choose the properties, we have used, underneath color effect, we have used alpha. We use that for the bird, I believe, in the movie clip exercise. I want you to sort of change the brightness, okay? And this is just another property that we can sort of change underneath color effect. This is going to darken that sky. You will see that it darkens, and I'll click on the sun. I've used that as well. Darkens the sun, and it also darkens the, and I'm clicking on it, the hills background. Okay, this is sort of giving the insinuation that night is falling, and we are getting sort of a darker version of everything. I believe I have it on the dude as well. Yes, I do. He gets darker as the sun goes down. Okay, so those are tweens that happen over a period of time. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about, because we're looking at these elements, is the zoom element. Okay, this is not something we've necessarily done. We've done a version of it when we made the bird larger in the movie clip, the bird movie clip. I'm going to click on this guy, and that's my dude. You'll note that I can click on the scaling or free transform tool and make these things, whoops, I'm going to hold down shift as I do this, make these things larger. If I do that to my dude or person, if I do it to my hills background, if I do it to, those two, basically, that's going to give an insinuation of, and you'll see that basically those are the things that are sort of zooming in. Okay. We do it to, looks like the sun as well. Okay. As we zoom in, give the effect of a zoom on a camera, or on a, a movie camera, we would sort of see things considerably larger in that space. Okay. So the darkening is happening through the Properties tab, and the zooming is happening simply by clicking on the last frame of each of these and using the free transform tool. Okay. Now, let's talk about sound. Sound is way simpler than you think. I'm going to sort of go to about right here. And about right here, let's just be even. I like things to be even. I'm going to click on the frame 50. At about frame 50, you can see the bird starting to appear. Okay. I'm going to click on this, frame 50, and I am going to insert a blank keyframe. Okay. What this is doing is sort of giving this a starting point. You'll notice that under wind, I have the wind audio file taking up that entire space. What I want to do is click on that bird audio layer and that the blank keyframe that I've inserted in frame 50. And sound is way easier than you would think. I'm going to go over. I have the bird 1.mp3. While I'm on the blank keyframe there, I'm going to click, hold, and I'm going to drop that sound onto the stage. You'll see that even the sort of EQ levels kind of populate this area. Okay, so at this point we have both bits of audio in. We've talked about the zoom. We've talked about the graphics. Let's sort of take a look at this again, and we should hear our bird at this point. Let it play again. Looks like I have a little bit of color over there, probably in my dude character that I can clean up. But at this point, you should sort of see the organization. Now, as I've stated on D2L, there are no step-by-steps for this. This is sort of a video that kind of reviews some of the new stuff, in particular the audio. That using the sort of brightness on the properties, and again we'll sort of make those changes at the very, very end, and shows us how to insert that audio. You will see on the bird movie clip, and I'll sort of find it, I have altered sort of the path of that, so he sort of flies a little more erratically. Okay. This should outline the basics of where you need to sort of, or how you need to sort of construct this. The idea, and I've done this in face-to-face class, is for you to look at this structure here and mock up this pretty short film by yourself. We're at 6 or 7 seconds, I think, 6 seconds. But this is sort of a prep for that first project, which sort of embraces this idea of setting the scene. Okay. So recreate this as accurately as you can. I am interested in it zooming as mine does. I'm interested in the coloring of that bird. I need that audio in there. I need the darkening of the figure, the hills, the sun, and the background. All of this stuff is sort of a simple way to sort of create a scene. You'll also note that wind audio. It's very simple to insert audio, and it adds sort of what I'll, sort of continually call sort of textural details to a simple movie like this. So use audio in places that it is appropriate. Any questions, email me, and good luck with your setting the scene exercise.